we have a very clear culture of never sacrificing long-term value for short-term results.
We are thrilled that all of you could join us today. Our feature today is co-founder and CEO of Humand. He leads his team as they empower organizations to create a digital community that enhances inter-organizational relationships to promote collaboration, give voice to foster ideas, and boost productivity. Our speaker recently teamed up with fellow bootcamp alumni Colin Banning, CEO at TGB Consulting, adding Humand's unique approach to company engagement to the portfolio of services TGB provides to Central American entrepreneurs. Nico, it's a pleasure to have you with us here today. Thanks so much for being willing to share your journey with us, and I'll hand it over to you.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here. So thank you very much for receiving me. The idea today probably is to tell you a little bit briefly about my story, how I got to where I'm now, what we are doing with Humand, and probably then have a chat with the most interesting question that you have. So if you are great, I will start briefly with my story, how I got probably into creating digital products and how I got into entrepreneurship.
That'd be excellent.
So, well, I started the journey of building companies. Well, not actually building companies, but creating digital products when I was probably 9 years old. I started playing online games. So I played a game. It was a very particular game. It was real life simulation. So basically, I got my life online on that game. I got all the cars, all the mansions I want. I was leader of the police. I was president of the nation. So I have a lot of fun playing that game. But it came a point where I got like everything I wanted, and as an ambitious kid, I wanted more. So I wanted to be an admin of that server. So I was talking with the owner of the online server of this game, and he didn't want me to be admin because I was too child, too young. I was just 9 years old. So, but I wanted it pretty much. So that forced me to start learning about how to create my own game, my own online server. So that summer of school, I spent the whole summer programming, learning about trying different things. I was trying different tutorials, YouTube videos, and I started seeing, okay, if I change this line of code, this is what happens in the game. So long story short, I launched my own real life simulation server, and it was the most played online server of all the Hispanic countries. There were thousands of users registered. I was selling with 10 years old. I was selling premium accounts for the users, and the server I was trying to be an admin in close, and we remain as the most played server. So with that experience, that was like the first time I made money on the internet, and particularly doing something I love. I came into it was very clear for me that my whole life I will be building digital products for the internet. So that's basically what I love to do. And at first, it wasn't a company. It was like a game. So, but the particular thing is that every project I started, I was everything building something on the side. At first, it was like systems that never launch. After that game, I will build some social networks that never launch, some marketplaces, some e-commerce stores. But every project was getting me more experience, more traction, more results, and I was learning a lot. So that was my first experience. I had the server from 9 to 12 years old. Then I focused more on, I was very bad at school. And then when I closed the server, my grades went up to the top. So I was both a great and a bad student at the same time, depending on the project that I was building. So Fast forward to Human, that is my company now. Right now we are a team of 10 people. We are growing very fast. We serve organizations with a private digital community that is a social network, but also allow you to perform, for example, learnings, trainings, digital forms, receiving your payslip, having a rich profile, doing inquiries for some areas of the company. It's a whole ecosystem to centralize the employee experience in big companies. So we work with very big companies like ArcelorMittal, the biggest steel producer in the world. Some we managed to sell to government, so we are working with governments in Argentina too. We work with non-profit organizations that we serve our software. We work with also with universities, so all kind of organizations right now are are using Human, and we are excited for the mission that we have, that is to digitalize communities. We believe that every organization should have that its own online private community to connect all the members, receive news, uh, be able to chat with any member and build relationships to be able to express and have a private digital place to share a space in the organization. So that's what we are building with Human. How I started into entrepreneurship. Um, Probably I don't know if you. I have two ways to go from here, so I want to hear a little bit about your questions to where we can dig deeper.
Thank you so much. I actually, as an avid gamer myself, I actually really hearing about how gaming inspired you to your first project and at such a young age. Given all the different variety of projects you've worked on and approaches you've taken, I was wondering what prompted your interest in the bootcamp program, and have you found any of the tools from it to be particularly useful for you?
Perfect. Well, I was very interested in doing an international experience in my studies. I only studied at Argentina, so I was very intrigued that what was happening at MIT, Stanford. So I saw this bootcamp program, and I automatically applied because I was very um, I have a lot of passion in entrepreneurship, so I really wanted to have a link, a connection with everything that's happened at MIT. I saw it like the best, one of the best places in the world for technology innovation, especially in an university. Um, so I wanted to live an experience like that, have like international friends that are in the same page like me. So that pretty much make me convinced that the decision of doing the bootcamp was a great decision.
Thank you for that. That's amazing. And I think we all can kind of relate to that boot camp experience and just how well it's kind of served us throughout our entrepreneurial journey. I want to go back to something you mentioned early on. So you said when you were a kid and you were working on building out that platform. Um, at that point, you sold off the platform or you stopped working on the platform or the game, and your grades went up, right? And I find that funny because I think a lot of us can relate to that idea that we put a lot of intense focus and effort on things we're very interested in. Um, and with that being said, what kind of where along your journey did you kind of decide that you were going to be an entrepreneur and not necessarily go into a corporate or go into a programming job, for example? Because it sounds like that had a huge impact on you of that dedication focus to that one interest. And so it's interesting because as an entrepreneur, we all wear many different hats. So would love to get your thoughts on kind of at what point you decided that being an entrepreneur was your path.
Amazing. I love this question. Well, it kind of naturally happened. I never took like a formal decision I will be an entrepreneur. I just started the journey of building digital products. Every product was a little bit bigger, had a little bit more impact. So every experience taught me a lot and taught me how to build actual digital product that users love and spread the word about. I think that's a crucial part if you build something, especially a digital product. You have to find a few users that love the product and that also love to tell their friends about the product. So you have the word of mouth effect. Actually, that's what happened with Human. So I think the decision I have some I remember thinking when I was I still study at university. I didn't finish the career, but I remember having some thoughts of when I didn't have like a solid company generating with users, customers, and those things. I remember saying, well, okay, if I don't have a company when I graduate, I probably would go to work for or a tech company at Google or Facebook or at McKinsey. I remember thinking about so I pretty it happened by just by track record and results and just by trying to build companies, and eventually I got something I want to dedicate a lot of years in the mission of human. So I think it's if you try and if you have an idea and you put a lot of work for some years in that idea, if the idea is good, people like it, I think it will eventually go start to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you pour more resources, more people, more ideas, more time into that idea, it will. If the idea works and people like it will start growing bigger organically because you are solving a problem in the market, and there's people that have that problem. You just have to find those people. And I think it's just organic. You don't have a time where you make the decision I will be an entrepreneur. It's just you start doing things and eventually you came into something and you devote your whole life to it.
That's very cool. I think a lot of people can understand where you're coming from with that. It is something that you sort of evolves out of you in a sense. Now, given your experience with different projects and different companies in the past, I'm interested in knowing how, as you were developing the Human project, how did you sort of go through user testing or getting feedback on it as you were developing? Was there a particular technique or did you follow your nose? What was your sort of movement for the product development?
Perfect. It's a great question because we are building a product for big companies and the founders actually never work for any company. So that's like a funny thing to mention. But we never we always base our product in the feedback of our users. At the beginning of the journey, we had a lot of meetings with HR directors of big companies and big company CEOs. So basically, we were hearing the pain they was having. So we were taking notes, building prototypes, showing to them, use it. Do you like it? Do you like it? What do you don't like? What would you change? So basically, the product was built entirely on user feedback and actually the user that was needing our product the most. So it was an advantage to discover early on who was our target customer, very very defined customer profile, and hearing from them, meeting with them, taking notes, actually learning, hearing everything they say, asking why. So to really learning the deeply and be deeply interested in solving that problem. We fall in love with the problem, not with the solution. So we we are not in love with some solution that we have. We just want the best way to solve the problem we are solving. That is that companies need to communicate digitally with their employees, especially employees that doesn't work from a PC or doesn't work from a desk. They are in a plant, in a factory, operating a machine. They are in agriculture. They are in restaurants. They are in stores, talking with the customers that come in. So they are like more like on the field employees, that those employees need to have the same relationship with the company, like every company, every employee, every knowledge worker. So we are probably turning blue collar workers into knowledge workers with the technology we are developing at Human, with our mobile app that connects the whole company and builds an ecosystem that centralizes the whole employee experience in the company. HR tasks, communication, digital community for fostering relationship culture, doing receiving the pay slip, doing some training, all those things that an employee in the company needs to do. But when that employee doesn't have a PC in front of them when they work, all those things become very much more difficult. So we are solving that with our mobile application in Human.
It's excellent. I mean, it's a very much needed tool. And to your point, following the problem and falling in love with the problem, not the solution, is critical to any successful company. To the point you brought up at first in the last question on meeting with heads of these large companies and heads of HR to kind of do your end user testing, to do your qualitative interviewing. How did you end up accessing these folks? Because I know that is a challenge for some people. They may have a platform or a solution, but it's just getting in front of the right people at the right time. So would love to hear your thoughts on how you were able to do so, to help kind of build and craft Human.
Great question. So I think there's not just one factor. I think there are multiple ways. I think one of the main reasons is because I went to probably the best university of Buenos Aires. It's like for doing a parallelism, it's like the MIT of Buenos Aires. So when you go to that kind of university, you are very well connected. You talk with companies a lot. I also had the opportunity to lead student organizations of entrepreneurship and innovation. So me as I was in charge of the fundraising of that organization. So I had to talk with a lot of companies, a lot of HR people, a lot of the directors to actually raise funds for the things we were doing in that college organization. So that I was building a network of contacts in companies without even realizing it. So I think that's one thing, being well connected, being in the places where things happen. I think that's other reason that I wanted to do the MIT bootcamp, to be in a place where things can happen. I think things happen where you are at the right place at the right time. Probably that's a big part of luck. But if you always put yourself at the right place, eventually the right time will come. So I think being in a good university, um, building great relationships with people, actually caring a lot about what the other people have to say. I think if you are interested in other people, you eventually will be an interesting people, because people are interested in interested people, if that makes sense. So I think that's one way of connecting with people. Actually, I have some members in my family that are HR directors. My uncle is actually an advisor of the company. Is the director of human resources of McDonald's Latin America and the Caribbean. My partner have also people in their family that are HR directors. So they help us. It's not nothing is like the thing that changes everything, but I think it's a sum of all small efforts, all small interactions. I write probably 20 emails or 30 emails a day to HR directors every single day. So a few of them actually reply, and we start building a relationship. So that's how you start building a network in a space you're working on. and learning about the people you're actually solving problems to. So just have interesting things to say, be working on things that are actually interesting to that people, and just reach out in a good way with great intentions. And if you, I think if you do things with great intentions, if you just want to build a better future and you are doing it with a great team, with a great product, things will eventually happen sooner or later.
Absolutely. And I think it's such an important skill to be able to manage your network like you do and grow it. That's very, very impressive. I think a lot of people, especially people like you and me, programmers, struggle with that sometimes. And so it's cool to see that you've sort of mastered the skill. Now, given the different projects and startups you've worked on in the past, I was hoping I could get an idea about how you go about deciding on team members. So, are there a criteria that you have in mind when considering you're hiring your initial team, or do you have recommendations for entrepreneurs who are looking to hire for key positions?
Great. So team building, I think, is one of the most important things an entrepreneur can have. The first initial team. So we start Human very particular because we were building prototypes. We at the start we were actually selling a prototype. We didn't have a product, and we were talking with big companies just showing a prototype. So back then we managed to close one really big customer with just a prototype. We actually compete in a tender. We compete against Facebook Workplace, Globant, many consulting firms, software factories, other products that are competition. We have a lot of competition in our space. So we were competing against all those companies with just a prototype, and somehow we managed to one. So that this big company realized that we were had just a prototype. We were very young. We have 22 years old, myself and my co-founder. So this company said to us, "We love what you showed to us, but we need the first version released in 20 days." So at that moment, we didn't have a name, we didn't have a logo, we didn't have a team. It was just my co-founder and I. We didn't even have a product. So I think that the biggest learning I had there is that the university is probably the best place to meet people to work. So what I did with that reply from the company, I talked with the smartest friends that I have at university, the friends that do a lot of things. So I have some meetings with them, and casually we built a team of 4 people. We work a lot, but the early team was just university. I think the smartest, crucial culture of the company, things that because if one person doesn't work or isn't motivated, it affects the whole team. So it's very important to be very aligned, everyone working on the same mission, very passionate, with a lot of responsibility early on. So I think that's crucial to building a great team. And yeah, university, having people of trust like friends. When you ask, for example, when you are hiring, you ask a friend you have who's the smartest person you know. You go and chat with that smart person, and you convince them. You show the vision, you show the product, you show what you're doing, the track record. And if that person isn't convinced, you ask that smart person, okay, who's the smartest person you know for this role? So then you go like with unlimited options, because if everyone you interview, you ask them who's the smartest person you know for this, eventually you have a lot of meetings with a lot of smart people to hire. So I think that's very crucial when you are building a team: culture, talent, passion, people who believe in the vision. I think that's the main thing that come in my head to share about team building.
That's awesome. Yeah, and to your point, it's really just finding a team that works together very well and can all align on that singular mission and then drive it forward. So that's a really good use of your network again to really build the team as well. We actually have a question from Carlos. I think he's going to go ahead and read through it. So I'll pass it over to him. Carlos, it's all you.
Thank you so much, Nico, for sharing your experience. And I wonder, how is Argentina in regards entrepreneurship and innovation? And also, how has been the feedback given by people in Argentina about digital products? Because let me tell you, here in Venezuela, when we talk about digital products, it is like abstract topic, and it's quite complicated to get a real or honest feedback.
Okay, it's a great question. I think it has many areas to expand to, but first thing, Argentina is a very good place and a very bad place. Depends on what things you are looking on. We can't focus our market only in Argentina because it isn't big enough. It has a lot of obstacles. It have a lot of challenges that make things harder for. So I think there are a lot of talents in Argentina. So we love our team to be here. We love hiring people here in Argentina. We love the a lot of things about Argentina, but for building companies and to build a big company that we want to build with human, it's very difficult. That's the reason we are actually expanding right now to Mexico and to the US that we are traveling now. So uh, I think that's when you live in one of these countries that you mentioned, Argentina, Venezuela, or other countries that are not that friendly with companies and have a lot of restrictions, a lot of challenges. So you have to think global from day one, and that's what we did with Human. We think global from day one. Day one, we found this company. We know that we are serving uh, a digital product for the world. So that's one of the main reasons I'm very passionate about digital products, because you just ship a product, you ship an app, you ship a website, and everyone in the world, it doesn't matter its country, its economic position, everyone has the same experience, and I find that fascinating. So you need to just translate your application. Human is available in Portuguese, English, and Spanish for now. We can ship and we can build digital communities all over the world, and there are very few things that actually change between countries. So I think you have to think globally. You have no choice, because if you stay in your country, you won't be able to make something big and with a lot of impact. And that doesn't doesn't only mean that you uh, won't have a big company, but uh, that also means that you won't have the best talent. And that's very important when you want to innovate, because when you are in software, the people, the talent, the minds, the creativity, the innovation of the people, the hours that they put in are what builds your product. And it's the most important thing. Our team at Human is the most important thing, probably more important than our current clients. So I think that those are the things you have to think about when you are in a country like Venezuela or Argentina. I don't know, Carlos, if you have another question that I didn't reply.
Yeah, thank you so much. And by the way, I wonder, do you have exchange control in Argentina, or it was some years before?
Yeah, we have exchange control. It's it's probably it's very technical, but yeah, we have exchange control, and it hurt us a lot. That's the reason we are expanding internationally.
Thank you so much, Nico.
Thank you for taking us through that, Nico. I think it's very interesting to hear about the differences and similarities between different cultures in regards to entrepreneurship. One thing I was hoping to sort of get a little bit of a deep dive from you, if you don't mind, is if there were any times when you have had to make a major pivot or deviated from your plan on a project or business, and how did you go about that? Looking back, would you change anything about that experience?
Very interesting question. I don't believe in big major decisions or big major pivots. I actually don't believe in that. I believe in micro daily pivots, micro daily changes, micro daily decisions that shape the future of your company. I don't believe that there's a day that comes an event and you have to take a big decision and that impacts you for the long term. I think daily you are building the vision. Daily you are building the future, the tomorrow. It's I think the future is like a, a, a box of all the things you do in every day. So you are summing, and then you every day you are building the next day. Every day I'm probably working on human 6 months from now. So the results I get today or the things I'm executing today are probably be a reality 6 months from now in human. So I think it's not like I don't think about few big decisions, but a lot of daily work that shapes the the future.
That's an excellent point. How small decisions can make big changes, especially over time. I think we often forget to realize that you can make a lot of change within a year, but within a day, you're always going to overestimate the amount you can get done. So, making those small changes and using that as your guiding force, and to your point, keeping that mission aligned with those decisions can really have huge impact on an organization. Um, so a little bit of a shift in direction, but it sounds like Human has been fairly successful up until this point, if not wildly successful up until this point. You guys are expanding into Mexico City. It sounds like you're launching into the US. It sounds like kind of throughout your career as an entrepreneur, things have been fairly successful. And so I'm a little curious about any obstacles you've faced within that, right? So any of those challenges you've had, and how they've shaped you, A, and then B, what advice would you give to others about that, right? In approaching some of the challenges you've had throughout your journey.
Okay, I think the challenges you have to face is more like a mindset. You have to be comfortable taking risks because you are taking big risks all the time. When you have a startup, you have to grow by definition. It's not a choice not to grow. If you are not growing, you are actually dying when you're a startup. That's probably what differentiates a startup from a normal traditional company. You have to grow by definition. So if you have a startup and you want to grow, you actually uh, every extra dollar that you have to reinvest. Every time in Human that we close a new client, we close a new contract, and we have more money, we actually hire more people. So the the numbers get bigger, but the burn rate keeps going. So you always have to remain creative on how to grow, how to not run out of money. Um, so I think you taking big risks. For taking big risks, you actually have to believe in a vision. You have to be convinced that you are building something that will make the future better. So, with that in mind, I think that uh, you will be more comfortable taking risks if you do a lot of work every day. Just two things: talking with people, talking with actually your customers, and building the product based on what your customers tell you. So I think that are the two main things to actually be convinced and be building something people want. Because if you hear your customers, if you study them using your product, you see your product actually providing them value, and you can spot many other customers that are like your current customers. It's just a matter of time that your product will reach other customers and other customers. And if your customers actually recommend your product and bring other customers inbound, is that's also a great thing. So I think when you are in the micro every day working and you start to see those things happening, I think you got something. When you feel you got something, you start taking more risks, and it's a lot of work. It's probably stressful many days. There are days, for example, I have 8 calls straight, one by one, and those days are not fun. Those days, you have to get up early, go to sleep late, probably many days in a row. So, but you do it because you believe in the vision. You built a great team. You are committed to something, and you want to make that future happen. Um, so it's not easy. You have to think always long term when you want to close a customer, for example, and you you think about reducing the price, or making some extra effort to close the customer, you have to think long term, because having that customer will bring you a lot more value that, for example, the short term benefit of getting more money. So never we have a very clear culture of never sacrificing long term value for short term results. So I think it's taking a lot of risks, thinking long term always, and actually building value every day with the tasks that you do. You have to be able to delegate, to put the best people in the best positions, find the passion of your team up and put them there. For example, if you have a developer that loves UX, uh, don't put them doing other thing. Just if you hire them, if because he's doing what he's passionate about, he's doing UX. Hire passionate people and put them in the best place you can put them. And if you find they do a great work, reward them in big way, because the team in software is what makes things happen. So the team is one of the most important things. And when you take a big risk, the whole team is actually putting the work to be able to take that calculated risk. So I think those are the things that come to my mind with that question.
Thank you very much. I definitely agree with that, especially putting your employees in areas that they are passionate about. If you're putting them in a place like doing work that they don't at all enjoy, you're going to get so much lower quality work from them just because it's not something that they're excited to be a part of, you know? Totally love that point. Now, I was hoping to ask you a little bit about sort of a topic that's going around on the internet at the moment, which is about remote work versus office work. I think like companies that are more technological are leaning more towards being able to do remote work post-pandemic. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think it's reasonable, or what are any concerns you have?
Okay, so I have two things, because in Human we have an office. We actually opened the office in February 2020. So we got 2 weeks of fun in the office, and then everyone was at home again. That was very funny. And we we found our office in Discord, actually, where we are doing this. Discord is a very great virtual office to have, especially when you are yet a small team. Um, and we actually do. I think every company will find its balance. So there's no perfect formula between remote work and work in the company in person. So I think our formula that we are doing with Human right now we are mostly remote, but we meet at least once a week. We do what we call an office day. We play some sports. We eat some food together. We work together in a very in an open space with a lot of nature. We like to play golf. So we do like an office day where we share a lot of things, and not only work related things. We work and then we go and do another things with the team. I think that's great for the culture. It's very difficult to have an only remote company because connections between people are very much strength when you are in person. When we are talking with someone in person, there's other energy that happens when you are physically in front of someone talking. So I think every company will find its formula. Definitely, companies that want to came back to old normal, working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day in the office, traveling 40 minutes, half an hour to get there. I think that's completely obsolete. I think that's a thing from the past, but I think we will find a middle point. We are helping with Human to build that future because with providing a digital community for organizations, we are actually making them more remote because you have a tool to communicate to the whole company, to communicate to a group of employees, to communicate individually, to to send any kind of content like a form, a training, a file, a survey, other kind of content you can serve instantly to employees, and you can build a culture and centralize all internal communication, people management, culture, just in one place. So we are helping companies be more remote, and find a sweet spot between having some kind of in-person work and also doing a lot of work and providing a lot of value being remote.
So I'm going to add a little bit to that as a follow-up. So as you're kind of working with these organizations, you're obviously your platform's focused on digital transformation and digital change within organizations, especially it sounds like in ArcelorMittal, for example, steel manufacturing, a company that's not traditionally very digital. So how do you approach kind of the change management side of things, or the resistance to change that people have as you're launching these programs with these organizations?
That's a great question. We are pretty much innovating a lot in change management in the company because we built a product. It's not like SAP, for example, that you need 6 months and a whole team of people to implement it in the company. Um, so we are innovating a lot in that. Human is very simple to implement. You have just you have to decide what modules do you want, and touch small configurations among those modules. Import your users by an integration, or depending what the company has as a database, and you are up and running to just the employees to download the app, log in, and be all connected. So we are innovating a lot in change management because before, when you implement a software like SAP, for example, you have to be 6 months working with a team, a technical team, configuring everything. It's a very heavyweight application. Human only, it's very lightweight. It's only 25 megabytes. So I think there is still a challenge, the change management. It's more every company handles it differently, depending their culture, depending their 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 state in the digital transformation process. But we help in Human a lot with that, and we provide software that the company can quickly implement in their company, and actually have a much more safe way to advance in their digital transformation process and serve better and provide a better digital experience to all their employees.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nico. Now, we are sort of running into the last 5 minutes of our time. So I just want to check, treat your time with a bit of respect and check that you are able to answer one or two more questions.
Please go ahead.
Great. Now, one question that that we do try to ask each week is we try to ask if you have any sort of big lessons or key takeaways from your journey or any words of wisdom you want to share with us. Very much feel free to interpret that however you feel best. Just like a very free form question for you to give us your wisdom.
Okay, I think we have covered many things already about team building, vision, building a culture, talking with customers. I think those are probably the most important things, especially early on when you are building a company. But if I have to, for example, leave some things, is if you are passionate about what you do, if you really want to build the future you are building, and you genuinely believe that that future is better, and you are motivated by it, and you've built a great team, uh, you will have no problem putting in all the work, the daily work, the long hours, and all the risks that comes from building a company. There are a lot. But I think if you just genuinely have great intentions about building that future that is actually better for a lot of people and a lot of organizations, um, I think you have something. Just find a place, find an idea where you want to put a lot of years of your life, and if you consistently put a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of resources into that idea, and you build a great team, and that idea actually you have validated initially talking with people that would benefit from that idea, uh, you will grow slower, more quickly, but you will grow because you got something. There's someone that appreciates what you have, and you will start to put effort and money and time and people, and that will eventually improve. And if you keep going and if you keep taking risks, you will grow and grow and grow and grow and serve more and more and more people, more and more and more organizations. So I think that's the key takeaway. But the seed of all of that growth of a startup, of a company, is find the problem that you deeply care about, um, and you see yourself putting a lot of years for solving that problem. And probably in the early days, the idea will be like it won't be everything clear. You won't have everything mapped out and the roadmap clear. You start changing a lot by talking with your users. The vision starts shaping. For giving an example, we started Human just for the challenge of doing a digital transformation in one big company. And then when we done that, we realized that we got something a lot of company want. So I think that's the main takeaway. And Human is a big and complex product that have a lot of engineering challenges. It took us more than 2 years to build the product that we have now. So I think it also comes that to the expertise you have in the team. We are almost all of us software engineers. So I think that actually helps a lot, but you have to deeply care about what you are solving, because you won't be able to be the best. With Human, we want to be the best software of our category. That is the intersection between internal communication and people management, HR management in companies. So we want to be the best there in that intersection, in that category. So I think that you have to find something like that, and you have to put time to actually figure out if you got something or not. There are a lot of things that can happen in human. We are burning money, we are hiring more people. There are a lot of risk involved. I don't know what the future looks like, but we are adding value to a lot of organizations, and we are having great response by our product. So we are the small challenges, you go and figure it out how to solve it, but you have to focus on the big and important things, that is having a great team and putting a lot of years and a lot of effort and a lot of daily work in the mission, in the problem you're solving, and the users you are serving with your product.
That's an excellent response and great advice for all those that are currently on their entrepreneurial journey, or just starting it, or seasoned veterans. I'm going to wrap it up with one final question here. What's next for you personally, for Humand? Where do you see the future taking you on your journey, and then where do you see Humand going as you grow and scale?
I see humans serving more and more organizations, implementing the product in more and more companies. I see probably the main challenge we are having right now, that it's a matter of time. We are internationalizing human. We are expanding to other countries. So that's a big one for us. So I can only see human and the whole team uh, implementing in more companies and serving more organizations, and actually um, working every day to advance to our vision, that is to bring all the people in the organizations closer together, to for you to be able to be more connected to your organization, because an organization is, when you work for a company or you go to another kind of organization, it's very impactful in your life. So right now that everyone is at home, you need a place where you can connect with all those people in the organization, and with Human we are providing that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all of your thoughts with us.
It was a pleasure for me.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
I hope everyone has a great day and evening ahead of them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
This has been Nancy and Spencer on Founders Voyage Weekly Podcast. Our speaker each week can be reached through our Discord server. Our intro and outro music is from the song Something for Nothing by Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. We'll be back again next week for another episode. Until then, have a great day and continue your voyage.